A question to meditate on. If you just like kids and dogs, does that make you a good person? Or do you have to have a kid or a dog and like them to make you a good person? While you think about that, let's prep the set. It's time for Last Looks!
You called Paul, hey Paul, to talk about a movie you saw. Maybe you were truly appalled, or maybe you enjoyed the film and you're in dubious awe. Last looks, the last looks. Tell the truth, when have you read your last book? It's a podcast, how did this get made? And this is Go Van Go Show, let's get paid. The last looks, the last looks.
Hello all you hot tub murder witches. I'm your host Paul Scheer, and welcome to How Did This Get Made? Last Looks, where you get to voice your issues on the Jimmy Smits Ellen Barkin classic Switch. Jason and I will answer your listener calls on the helpline. I'll reveal next week's movie, plus we will share an exclusive bonus scene from our live Switch show. So much stuff. But first things first, a big shout out to Go Van Goes. Go Van Goes created that amazing opening. And you know what, Go Van Goes? Hearing that opening made me say to myself, we need that level, that kind of talent in creating a brand new How Did This Get Made theme song. I'm coming up with this on the spot. I challenge people to dethrone our theme song. It happened once before we were keeping track of who even wrote that song. I've tried to find them. I can't. I would love a new theme song. We could have a theme song off, maybe a new video to go with it for the live shows. I like this idea. And if you like this idea, if you want to take the challenge, if Go Van Goes wants to step up to the plate with all of the great musicians that have come before and after, well, I guess just before, not after, send us your brand new How Did This Get Made theme at howdidthisgetmade@earwolf.com. Go for it. And still keep on making Last Look songs too, but go for the gold. Get immortalized in some way. I don't know how you'd be immortalized, but we'll give you something cool. Anyway, I think that would be really fun. We are going to have a How Did This Get Made song off. Great way to start the new year. Well, the new school year. It's not even a new year. Anyway, I'm getting lost because we need to talk about Switch. Switch, a movie that Discord user Elaine Smithy thinks could have been called Hot Tub Crime Machine. Boom! Boom! Nailed it. I love it. I like these alt titles. Okay, so obviously we had questions about Switch, and we might have even missed a few things, right? But here is your chance to set us straight. Fact check us, if you will. It's okay. We can take it. It is now time for corrections and omissions.
Corrections and omissions. Corrections and omissions. Corrections and omissions with Tall John
Yeah. Thank you, John Falding. I love that theme song too. Let's go to the Discord. Cameron H. writes, what annoyed me was I kept asking, why him? What makes this guy so special that he gets a second chance when absolutely no one else does? Wow, Cameron, that is I mean, it's a harsh and true and beautiful way of looking at this movie. Cameron H. continues and says, according to God, if it wasn't for Steve's misogyny, he actually would have been worthy of going to heaven. But all we get from the movie is one line from Jimmy Smits that Steve liked kids and dogs. That's it. He doesn't even own a dog or have a kid. Apparently, he just likes the idea of them. Yet Steve appears to be unscrupulous in business, quick to violence, and a complete shit to literally every woman he's ever met. Heck, he doesn't even appear to be particularly religious or spiritual. Is that truly how low the bar is to get into heaven these days? I mean, you should say those days. I've been to clubs with stricter requirements for admittance. I'm just saying, based on this film, heaven could have been filled wall to wall with trash bag human beings. Next up, Vinod S. When we heard Joni Mitchell's lyrics for Both Sides Now, it was not Joni's voice, though while I'm sure you all knew that, I don't think the ep made it clear. The version in the film was a cover sung by Clandid and Paul Young. Well, sure, I'm sorry we didn't lay that down explicitly, but it is a Joni Mitchell song, even though Joni Mitchell is not voicing it. But the same thing holds true. She is the rights holder, so it is surprising. And in response to June saying she hadn't heard Both Sides Now in a movie before, Lee Black chimes in to say Joni's version of Both Sides Now is very famously in one of Jason's favorite movies, Love Actually. Oh, you're right. Like the song defines Emma Thompson's character, so it has definitely been in a movie before. And Vinod S. adds to that. Joni's version of Both Sides Now was also famously used in the season 6 finale of Mad Men when Don takes his kids to the brothel where he grew up. Bam! June is wrong. I'm not going to tell her that. I'll let you see her on the street and let her know. Sean McBee, one thing not mentioned was that the devil actually keeps tabs on Steve Manda throughout the entire film. Once as a customer at City Grill, twice as a piano player, once wearing drag at the lesbian club, and lastly as a televangelist on the TV, while Steve Manda is yelling at Smits after he date raped her. A sentence I don't even like to say out loud. Yes, we did mention this in the live show, but these pictures that you added, and you can all check it out, Sean is not lying, are great. And that is true. All right, let's go to the phones. Matthew from Rhode Island, what do you got?
Hi, this is Matthew Gavitt from Rhode Island. You're talking about the wonderful acting of Catherine Keener as a secretary in the movie Switch, but also didn't mention that she would then go on, I think 8 years later, to be one of the key roles in Being John Malkovich, another movie about a different body experience. So just a little interesting connection with Catherine Keener and the journey that she went on during 2 different movies like that.
Yes. I mean, yes, I guess it is a body swap movie. I never thought of it as a body swap movie. It seems more elevated. John Malkovich doesn't seem like a traditional body swap. It seems more like you're piloting an airplane or something like that. But you're right. You are right. And you know what? Thank you for calling out Catherine Keener for excellent taste in body swap movies. Paul from Adelaide, Australia, chimes in with something that sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Hey, Paul, just talking about the 5-star review where the person said that no one was able to replicate Switch. As the host of a podcast called the Swapcast Podcast, where we've been only reviewing body swap movies for the last 6 years, I can definitely tell you that plenty of movies have tried to replicate this formula. A couple that came to mind recently is The Sex Trip, which stars Sylvester Stallone's brother and Tom Hanks's brother, which was truly fucking awful. And also a film called Damn that was directed by Mel Brooks' son, which was terrible. We call them misogyny swaps on our show because they keep making this film, and it's a pretty terrible kind of idea that a man has to become a woman in order to actually see women as people. So I hope this trend kind of goes away because it is a troubling formula, but it is one that people just keep making. So, I love the show. It's a big inspiration for my podcast. So, keep up the great work.
Wow. Paul, this is great. I have to listen to your podcast. And looking at this, whoa, the posters on this are wild. Wild. The Sex Trip. Please just Google The Sex Trip and Sam. The posters of Sex Trip, it's like a traditionally glistening wet woman on the top, and then like a traditionally like cut dude on the bottom, separated by the title, so it looks like one body, and it's upsetting. And Sam, you're watching the transformation from a cigar chomping, bow tie wearing white dude into into a woman. Now here's the thing. The bow tie wearing white dude is wearing a suit jacket, but when he is transformed into a woman, simply on the movie poster, he loses his jacket and his breasts are out. And we see maximum cleave. Wow. All right, so that's 2016 Sex Trip and 2017 Sam. Back to the Discord, GT75 writes, in the beginning of the movie, the devil points out that Steve is just going to seduce a woman again. Sorry, a female, as the movie repeatedly phrases it, and to trick her into liking him, which is why he proposes to turn him into a woman. But isn't that exactly what Steve/Amanda does with Lorraine Bracco anyway? I mean, the movie should have been over before he even gets to confess that he's using Lorraine for the account, because somehow God and the devil both forgot that lesbians exist. Well, look, I can argue this point a little bit, because I don't think that Steve knew what the bet was, and I also don't think that he was promising anything to her. I don't think he was trying to trick her. Do you? I think he was attracted to her as a man and then couldn't go through with it because he was in a woman's body. Anyway, you say potato, I say potato. Droopy MCC writes, the character Felicia, who was one of the murdering ex-girlfriends, was played by actress Victoria Mahoney. Victoria is a director these days, helming episodes of popular shows like Grey's Anatomy, The Morning Show, and Lovecraft Country. She was the first female director to work on a Star Wars movie when she directed the second unit for The Rise of Skywalker. Whoa, the first female director of Star Wars? I guess maybe Star Wars movies. Okay. From Hot Tub Murders to Cis Hideout on Exegol, you never know where your life will take you. Well, that's great. I like that we learned a little bit about behind-the-scenes action. Sean McBee, back again, says, Amanda has absolutely no ID, no social security number, no birth certificate, no history of any kind, yet she can get $250,000 a year job, but the police know how to reach out to her as the next of kin to identify Steve's body. She's able to buy a plane ticket, and there seems to be no issue with putting her on trial, committing her to a mental institution, or legalizing her wedding to Jimmy Smits. One scene of her going into some shady guy for fake papers would have helped make a little bit more sense. Maybe we could have replaced the men are inherently better at sports basketball scene where Steve's female body results in his first ever loss to Smits. I agree. I mean, that was really a fucking crazy loophole, but it's a farce. Mitch Kappa writes, if the baby had been born a boy, does that mean that Steve/Amanda would have just gone straight to hell? Boom. Wow. That's something to think about. So many great corrections and omissions this week, but there can only be one winner to walk away with their own song, a song by Ashanti Dejan Cooper. And you know who that's going to be? Yes, back again in the top spot, Cameron H., simply asking the question we all wanted to ask but forgot. Why him? So Cameron, you're back, baby. Enjoy this song by Ashanti Dejan Cooper. Hit it!
You win. You win. You win. Absolutely nothing, yeah. Not even a pizza or an ice cream cone.
Thank you, Ashanti, for that song. Check out more music from Ashanti by following her on Instagram at Ashanti with an I, Dejan, DeJeanne.music. Ashanti Dejan.music. Remember, if you want to submit an alt movie tagline or chime in with your own thoughts about the latest episode, hit up the Discord at discord.gg/hdtgm or call us at 619-PAUL-ASK. Coming up next, Jason and I will answer listener phone calls on the helpline, and I will reveal next week's movie. But first, sometimes at our live shows, we have multiple second opinion songs that blow us away. And we had one more great song at our Switch show. We wanted to share it with the world. So to the tune of Meredith Brooks' 1997 song, Bitch, Laura, sing us into the break.
Steve hates the world today. He just woke up and his dick has gone away. I can understand how you'd be so confused. The audience is too. Is it progressive or offensive? Buckle up, let's have some fun. It's a switch. He's Amanda in this cringe extravaganza. It's got Barkin, it's got Smits, and they always feel her tits. What the fuck? OMG, it's a date rape comedy. But it used the singular form of they. For this alone I stand. Won't you join with me and give this film a hand? 5 stars. Laura.
Give it up for Laura.
Amazing.
Welcome back. You've likely noticed that How Did This Get Made? Every Monday, we re-release an older episode back into the rotation. This week's Matinee Monday was a re-release of How Did This Get Made's 100th episode, the movie Junior, which, like Switch, featured a pregnant man. Next week, Matinee Monday will be another body swap movie, The Secret. Oh, this is a good episode with guests Topher Grace and Joel Kim Booster. So keep on checking out these replays of classic eps every Monday. All right, now it is time for Jason and I to answer some listener calls on the helpline. This week's helpline theme comes from our pal Rob from Long Island. Oh, Rob from Long Island. I know that you can come up with a How Did This Get Made song. And also features comic book artist and musician James Kolchaka on vocals. I hope I got that right, James. Rob and James, play us in.
Well, I was once in a place in my life where I needed a hand. So I looked for help in a book and a church and a rock and roll band. But they told me to call 619-PAUL, ask as fast as I could. So I did. Now my life is better than bad. It's actually good.
Jason, we got some calls this week. You know, we're gonna try to help.
We got the calls.
We got a lot of good calls. We got some emails as well. Scott, what do you want to start us off with?
Let's start out with a friend of the pod who travels to a lot of our live shows. This call comes from Chicago Leah.
Ooh, we love Leah.
Hey, Paul, it's Leah from Chicago, aka Chicago Leah in the Discord. Right now I'm on an international vacation where the highlight of every day is the hotel breakfast buffet. So I'm curious, what is your MO when it comes to luxury hotel breakfast buffets? Do you get there the minute it opens and you stay through the whole morning? Do you go at the end and just get like your protein and your coffee and then you're off? So how do you attack a luxury hotel breakfast buffet when you're on vacation? Have a good one. Bye.
All right. So, Jason, this is a good question. I'm not going to have a great answer because I don't hit them. I avoid them.
I don't either.
No way. Luxury, non-luxury. If you're paying for it, yes. But if it's out in the open,
a lot of times it's free. A lot of times it's included in your with your room and whatnot. So, but even still, I don't do it. For me, I almost never do breakfast. Period.
I find myself,
breakfast is a pretty troubling meal for me. So
yeah, you can't have much breakfast.
Yeah. So what am I going to go down to the lobby and get like a box of cornflakes? No, I'm not.
Yeah. So I will say this: we did a lot of things on points on this trip, and we are a Marriott Bonvoy member, which then also is like part of Four Seasons. So sometimes we stay at nice places, and the Four Seasons said, hey, we have a great every morning breakfast buffet. Come down and enjoy it. And I was like, well, it's Four Seasons. I'm going to do this breakfast buffet. Got down there. I have to say, breakfast buffet was great, but it was expensive as hell. And the woman who was serving us, I thought, first of all, it's going to be free breakfast. They said, like, come check it out every morning. It wasn't like a come check out thing. It was like, come and eat at this restaurant where we will charge you a lot. And this woman said to me, oh, I won't charge your kids the full price. And, and I go, thank you, because my kids don't eat that much. And the full price, which I was shocked to find out, was $60 per person.
Wow.
Too much for breakfast. My kids got charged $45.
Oh, my God.
And if I told you my kids had half of a bagel and some fruit, that was about it. And when I saw the price, I went back. I filled my plate 3 more times. I was like, I got to eat more breakfast. I got to make this. I got to make a $60. I can't pay that much for breakfast. I can't do it.
Yeah, that's the thing is I can't pay that much because all I'm going to be able to eat is like oatmeal and coffee. Like I can't, and maybe some fruit. I'm really at a loss. So, and I know this question wasn't meant for me, but yeah, I don't do. Most I do is order a pot of coffee to the room while I pack up and leave.
That is something that June does,
and I travel with instant oatmeal packets.
Oh wow, that's smart. I should do that. See, June does something that's interesting, which is before she goes to bed, she calls in a room service order for coffee at the time that she's getting up, which has been a genius hack. So the first thing, instead of that annoying beep, 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 it is knock, 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 coffee's here.
Yep.
It's a great way to start the day. So yeah, I kind of follow her, but I'm not a breakfast person, so I avoid it primarily. But if you're gonna give me a cookie at a DoubleTree, I'm gonna eat the hell out of that.
Yeah, it's also, I feel like it's you know, a lot of times it's not worth it. I do think where Leah said in Europe, I think that breakfast is probably a much better, nicer breakfast.
Absolutely,
you know?
Yes. Oh, in Europe, yes. And by the way, I always felt pressure when I stayed at a B&B. I'm not a big B&B fan, but B&B sometimes they really they don't want you to eat their breakfast, and sometimes
they want you to hang out. I feel like B&Bs are lonely people who have extra bedrooms and are like, how can we get people here to hang with us?
I don't want to socialize. I've never wanted
I don't want to watch Survivor with you.
Oh, well, I would love to watch Survivor with you. By the way, I know we can't really talk about
We can't talk
about it, but man, some good stuff on there. But yeah, I'm not for it. Now, Scott, do you have that one email, or is it like somebody couldn't leave a message because they're in international waters, or maybe they're in international land? Do we have
international waters?
Yeah, international.
We should probably rescue them.
We got to get them. We got to save them.
Let's see. Yes. Looks like we have a call from Nick in Australia.
Okay.
Hi, Paul, Jason, and Jude. I'm just calling after listening to your re-release of Teen Witch, and Jude's sister had this amazing insight into watching a film that I'd never even really considered, even last time I listened to the Teen Witch episode.
Is he popping popcorn in the background?
Commit to a 2-hour movie because her expectations are too high, and I realize I love movies as well, but I have that same problem. I end up not going to see movies because I don't want to be disappointed. Quite sad. I know these aren't the usual kind of Paul ask questions, but hey, I thought I'd find out your thoughts on that. Have a great day. Bye.
Like, this is an odd thing. June's sister has since changed her opinion on attention spans and movies. June's sister didn't like movies for a long time, but I always find it interesting when people don't like like, you could not like a genre, but like not to like this thing. I don't like art. I don't like music. It's a weird. It's too weird.
It's a weird take.
Yes.
It is. It's a weird take. I do understand, though, in this era of binging and streaming and having so much at your fingertips all the time, this idea that movies are something that seemed like a big investment, like the next 2+ hours or whatever. But I would argue, and people I feel like have been conditioned to be like, ooh, another one. Ooh, and like kind of like another bite of these shows. And I like movies for the opposite reason, because I like that in 2 hours or whatever, I can have a beginning, middle, and an end of the story and be done and feel a sense of closure and that I completed something. Like, my completion rate for movies feels like, that was great. You know?
Yes, I get that. And I think that I know the fear that this gentleman is talking about where, is it worth my time? Am I making the right decision? And especially when you are faced with a longer film. Like, there was one film I went to go see that had an intermission. And I actually love that because it gave me a chance to not like worry, because I've gotten so used to watching things at home. I've gotten so comfortable watching things at home that sometimes I want to have those amenities, simply just being able to go to the bathroom. I mean, that really is a big one, and I don't want to miss out on something in the theater.
I wonder if you feel the same way, and I don't know if you interact with it the way that I do, but I was saying this just a couple of minutes ago, or in fact last week, that I still listen to the radio a lot. I love listening to the radio and processing things through the discovery of just hitting seek forward and seeing where I land and what I land on and where how I get turned on to stuff. To that end, I mean, I still have cable and very much enjoy just absent-mindedly flipping through, because those moments of discovery can turn you on to something. And a lot of times, especially in my childhood or my teenage years, that is how I found incredibly impactful movies. That's how I saw Harold and Maude for the first time when I was 12 or 13 years old, and it had such an impact on me, or other movies that were so massively important to me, and it's were imprinted on me through sheer accident and happenstance, and I still really enjoy that.
I agree. I feel like we don't get a chance to find something, and that's what my new thing has been. I try to find out as little as possible. I don't want to know. Like, so if I am intrigued by a poster, a word, a thing, an image, I go, that's it. That's all I need to know. I don't like the idea that I know too much before I go in. I'm not finding myself just spinning the dial, which I probably should do more. But I do find myself wanting to experiment or see things. And I'll tell you, I just saw this movie from Japan called Shin Kamen Rider, which is...
I know the movie you mean.
Whoa!
It's a guy with a bug head, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Is it good?
It was fun. I mean,
great.
Wow. I guess it's the third in this series.
I didn't know that.
But I didn't know of it. I'm going to go back and watch. I mean, it makes sense because there were some things I was confused about. But wow, it's fun. It's crazy. It looks a little bit like a high level Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Like that's what, and it has, but it's elevated. It's great. Oh wow, it's fun.
That's great. And I will say, like, I feel like kind of what this question was about, or what we're talking about in general, is this idea of, I'm going to sit down and watch something. I want to know it's good. I don't want to waste my time, or I want to know that when I'm done with it, I'm going to have loved it, or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that I feel like is you're weighting your experience so much against the movie or the show or the album or whatever. You're making it so that thing is having to do a lot of work to win you over versus just pure discovery.
Yes.
So if that is something that you're dealing with, then I like taking as my jumping off point, tethering my watching to a podcast that I'm also listening to. So like the blank check guys doing the films of Buster Keaton was, to me, recently an opportunity to go back and watch a bunch of old Buster Keaton and Harold Lloyd shorts and Marx Brothers shorts, stuff that they were talking about in the episode that I could then go and find. A lot of it's on YouTube or a lot of stuff that I wouldn't have normally just picked up and watched because they were talking about it, or because the Action Boys were talking about something, or the Doughboys, or all these podcasts that intersect with things to watch, including ours and yours Unspooled. All of these things are ways to kind of get recommendations that you then not only are predisposed to enjoy what you're watching, you have a second thing, a next thing that's going to give you an opportunity to dig even deeper. You have some podcast episodes to listen to that are going to give you even more context. I
love that too. I love going back and finding that time. And also I think it expands you because you get excited about something. And even with music, I feel like after seeing Joni Mitchell or, you go and you start to explore other people, other things. And you're right. I think that we should be embracing it more. Just the idea of not knowing everything. But anyway.
and letting things, and letting our sense of discovery or being turned on to something, like I'll say Blank Check right now is doing the films of Park Chan-wook.
Yeah.
So maybe you've seen Old Boy, maybe you've seen a couple of them, but there's probably a lot you haven't seen. It's a worthwhile listen and watch.
All right, last one. What do we got?
This next call is from Kaylin in Brooklyn, and this one's mostly for Jason.
Ooh, Jason. All right, here we go.
Brooklyn.
Hey, Paul and Jason. My name is Kaylin, and I live in Brooklyn, but I actually just ended a 4-year live-in relationship, so I am shacking up with my parents and working remotely in New Hampshire for the next couple of months while I wait for the New York City rental market to hopefully cool down a little bit in the fall. And I actually feel really good because I've been trying to really live my best main character New England summer, but I am running out of ideas. So Paul, and I guess mostly Jason, I would love your thoughts on other things I can do to make the most of my post-breakup New England summer. Love the show. Thank you so much. Bye.
Ooh, post-breakup New England summer. I mean, New England summer really can't be beat. It's pretty dynamite. You're talking beaches. You're talking fried clams, lobster rolls.
Oh, so good. I had so many lobster rolls on tour. It was so delicious.
Oof. Or like amusement parks, but not like the big fancy ones. I'm talking like the little dingy ones that are really great. Or like the Old Orchard Beach Boardwalk in Maine, both sketchy and fascinating and fun. Drive-in movie theaters is don't sleep on big New England drive-in movie theaters. Like there's one in Scarborough, Maine I can think of. That to me is summer. You know, that to me, like going to the drive-in, like that is pretty awesome. And any kind of outdoor movie theater here in LA, we've got like the Hollywood Forever cemetery movies and that kind of a vibe. I just like that. I like being outside. I've said it before and I'll say it again right here on this podcast. I want How Did This Get Made to do outdoor shows.
I love it.
Come on. I would love it. I think that would be an absolute blast. So if there's like a little shed near you that we can do a show in, let us know.
That is great. I think we should definitely.
Oh, and then the rest of it, you know, it's single hot girl summer. So just go for it. I don't know. You should be having like, both New England Stephen King scary, spooky, go explore the caves, but also like, making out, finding new love, New England version of Nicholas Sparks novels should be happening as well. Like, where's your next time you call in? Who was it? Caitlin?
Yes.
Is that what it is? Next time you call in, Caitlin, let us know all the mischief and fun you got up to. I'd love a Caitlin's sexy summer of fun post-breakup from Brooklyn to New Hampshire, live free or die, in parentheses, update. I want another one. Let us know, Caitlin, what you got up to, because I think there's a lot you could do. Road trips. You could, now that it's not as hot, you could go hiking, do a little bit of the Appalachian Trail or something else. Get out there. Hit the water, hit the trails. Let's figure this out. I want to hear what's up.
I want to see what happens with her. This is nice. All right. Any other calls we got? One more. Maybe we'll take one more because I feel like this is a good way to end. Here we go.
All right. Last but not least, we've got Chris from Boise.
Hey, Paul and Jason. I was listening a while ago to your discussion about bags, and based on Jason's recommendation, I got the Peak Design Wash Pouch Game Changer. And listening to you, Paul, talk about Topo Designs, I got myself the Rover Pack. Great for quick trips. The question I had is, do you have any versatile shoes you recommend for travel? I used a pair of Nike Waffles till I wore them out, and I'm looking for a new shoe that can be worn for a variety of things. Also, you guys should check out the album Everyone's Dead Except for Us by Wolfie's Just Fine, a.k.a. John Loja.
Love John. So psyched to have him come and pop in on the Fast 10 show. Wolfie's Just Fine is great, and he is always putting out really solid stuff.
Just a beautiful musician. Like you really got to check him out. John Lajoie, our castmate in the league, has now spent the last 10 years making absolutely beautiful music.
I love it. I want to just jump in real quick and just say one thing about bags. Because first of all, I found a new bag that I'm in love with. It's the Soul Guard bag. Soul Guard has a carry-on that has like a pop-up, like a closet. And
this is like a roller bag. This is like a hard shell roller bag,
right? Which you can have as a carry-on. It's great. And the entire tour, I would just take out the closet part, hang it in my closet. I have my closet clothes hanging there. I have to figure out how to be better at folding. I'm a bigger person, or as you are, Jason. I'm not bigger, but I'm big. But like when I fold up jeans, it's not going to be. I can't get a jean into, it's going to be bigger. So that's tricky. But I will say this, shoes are the hardest part of travel. I've talked to people about shoe hacks. And as a matter of fact, because we were able to get a tour of the White House on tour, which was amazing. You couldn't wear sneakers, and I only brought sneakers on tour. And I had to go out and buy some nicer shoes. But because I knew I couldn't bring the shoes home with me, I just didn't have, if I was keeping it light the entire time, I just left them in the hotel room. I took the $40 loss. I bought cheaper shoes, but because shoes are a pain in the ass. You want dress shoes, you want nice shoes. I like workout. Shoes are where I really lose my whole packing.
Shoes are, I agree with you completely, Paul. And shoes can really eat up a tremendous amount of space in a bag or in a suitcase, especially. Eat up a lot of space, some of which you're not going to use that much.
Yes.
So for me, I try to get it down to two things. A pair of sneakers and a pair of stage shoes.
Right.
Or travel day shoes and stage shoes, whatever it is. This trip, both were sneakers. I had sneakers on stage and sneakers that I traveled in during the day. And that was it. And a pair of Birkenstocks just for puttering around the room and stuff. And that's it. But I'm also, like this caller, on the search for because normally I just bring my Red Wing boots and a pair of sneakers and that's it. I'm done. But the bummer is in the summer, I'm not going to be wearing these boots. It's crazy.
Right.
So finding a summer shoe that works that doesn't seem to just like, I don't want to be wearing a pair of Hokas on stage.
Right.
But I do want to be wearing a pair of Hokas everywhere else. Walking around the airports, doing the rest, driving around, everything. Anyway, I'm also looking for a versatile, good-looking shoe that I can wear in for different uses. That's comfortable for my flat feet.
Right.
Yuck.
Well, I mean, look, I have issues that I made a big mistake, which was I decided to take high tops. I got these nice Jordan high tops, and a week of wearing those really did some damage to my above. Really old man talk, above ankle area. Like, I don't know, like back a leg, whatever it is. And I needed to switch them out. It is a balance. It's a balance that I don't like having to debate because shoes make me pack heavier, but you do need two pair. I wind up a lot of times just really squeezing in the nice pair of shoes. I really need three pairs of shoes, like a pair of nice sneakers, a pair of workout shoes, and then a pair of nice shoes.
It's really, and then you're taught, that's like one half of one side of your suitcase just for all, and then that's what makes me crazy.
I hate it.
Because then I'm like, fucking,
well, and again,
I'll be like so almost packed and then be like, shit, my boots aren't even in there.
Well, and this is my thing. And again, this is not, I have a larger foot. So it's like, it doesn't even like I'm fighting with that. Like I'm like, sometimes these little feet people have it easy. They can just.
I got those little feet, but they're still full. I'm still full of shoes. It's terrible.
Oh my!
But I will say, like this trip, I do so appreciate, and it's very nerdy. I do so appreciate being given the opportunity to be like, okay, I'm going to cull through my travel gear and pare it down so my bags are light and I'm not overdoing it. And I think I did a pretty good job this trip.
I did a great job. June made fun of me because we went on a trip before this trip, a little vacation that we had already planned. And June's like, I can fit everything in my bag. I fit everything in my bag. And June's bag looks like... it looks really overstuffed. It looks like a buffet plate where someone's like last call. Like everything is on there. It's busting at the seams. I try to put it on airplanes. I'm fighting to get it in the overhead. And she's like, I fit everything in here. And I go, well, I go, I don't know how you do it. I'm trying to put everything in my bag. And I realized I have the smallest bag in my entire family. My overhead bag, I was using my own away bag, and it's so much smaller than everybody else's. And no wonder I was having a hard time. It barely fits anything.
I was on a trip just prior to our tour. I was on like a 4 to 5 week trip that was long. So I had a backpack, a roller bag, and a duffel.
Oh, yeah.
And I had the new Evergoods Transit duffel.
Okay.
And the accompanying packing cube that goes with it.
Yeah.
And this is a very recent release from Evergoods. And boy, that duffel is fucking fantastic. Ooh. It absolutely crushed that trip. It was fantastic. It's got like a little bit of, not a hard shell. It's got some protection It's not a thin. It's got structure and protection. So I had like a microphone in there that we needed. I had stuff in there that was my camera, stuff that was a little that I didn't feel bad about throwing the bag around at all because everything felt very safe in there. Super comfortable. Straps are great. Organization is great. I mean, it's just a big duffel, but it was absolutely great. I loved it.
Well, that's interesting because I love my own. I have some Evergood stuff, and the one that I traveled with, you told me that the 35-liter one, great bag. But, but the lack of pockets sometimes gets me, and this one looks like it has some nice pockets in here too. Okay, this is good to know.
Yeah, that's a great duffel. If you like a duffel, I think that bag is dynamite.
All right, I don't mind a duffel. Sometimes you need a duffel. All right, Jason, lovely to chat with you. Lovely to solve everybody's problems as normal. We will see you next time.
Keep those gear questions, keep those bag and gear questions coming, everybody.
Thank you, Jason, and thank you for all who called. Remember, you can call us anytime, and Jason and I will be there for you at 619-PAUL-ASK, because Jason and I can't talk technically about a lot of things that we watch and do because we're on strike, and that's kind of against the rules, I think. So anyway, call us. We have to talk about you, and we love it even more than talking about us. Now that we got Switch out of the way, let's talk about next week's movie. We are going from a body swap comedy about a guy who was killed and resurrected by Satan to a body swap horror film about a serial killer possessed by Satan. It's kind of like a body swap movie in a way with Satan. That's right. Next week, we are watching the 1990 horror crime thriller First Power starring Lou Diamond Phillips. Here's a short breakdown of a plot. An LA police officer and a psychic hunt a serial killer who's possessed by Satan. Rotten Tomatoes gives this film a 25% score on the tomato meter. Letterboxd user Dave P. writes, at one point, the ghost starts doing kung fu moves and bits. I don't remember that, but it doesn't surprise me. Anyway, let's take a listen to the trailer.
The third power. He can be anywhere. The second power. He can be anyone. The first power.
You move and you're dead.
Immortality. The perfect killer is out there. Be warned. Lou Diamond Phillips. Tracy Griffith.
You can't go on killing forever.
You wanna bet? The first power.
Okay, we are almost to the end of the episode, but before we go, check out this bonus scene from our Switch show where we answer a couple of extra audience questions.
All right, your name and your question.
My name is Polly. We're calling this movie very homophobic, but isn't it also incredibly progressive that God is both a man and a woman?
That God is both a man and a woman. Isn't that a very progressive message?
Yeah, I think it's both. Both sides now. Jody was right to give the song.
I think they did a lot of have your cake and eat it too. I think that the writers felt they were being both, like, representative of women and men.
I think it's regressive by positing that there is a God.
Boston.
I would rather there be witches than God.
Wow.
Okay. No, as the driving force of the movie, I mean.
Sure.
I would rather they be witches than God, because at least the magic makes sense versus the magic of God? Come on. What are we doing here?
All right, I'm in the last row of the balcony asking a question, getting a question from someone in the second to last row. Your name and your question.
My name is Nancy. My question is...
Nancy from the movie, The Security?
Yeah,
Nancy?
I wish.
Happy to be here. Thank you for that. My question is, what do you call the sexuality that is being exclusively attracted to a woman in an oversized white button-down who's rearranging her imaginary junk? And what are some helpful tips for coming out to friends and family?
Wow. Great question.
Yeah, I mean, it is strange. It is the most beautiful I think Ellen Barkin's ever looked in any movie. And I will say...
Please watch Sea of Love.
I will say, I did watch the movie and think I'm watching Steve. It is a performance that you just really, I did get lost in.
Yes.
And I agree with you guys when you were saying earlier, like, oh, it was too much with the high heels, it went on too long. And I agree with you, but it was the thing that kept, I feel like, it was the physical external
Yes.
that allowed Ellen Barkin to continue to crush as the male, the Steve seeping through. And I thought I loved all of it. That, as well as the holding her tits while she was running. There was a bunch of external physical stuff that I felt like helped in a way, but maybe lasted too long, but still was, I thought she did incredible. That stuff was making the movie work for me in a way.
Yeah, and it was interesting that she did get her hair cut because, and this is again one of the sort of like deep, like psychosexual sort of that the movie can't really wrap its mind around, but the fact that Steve in Ellen Barkin's body was more interested in that moment in being comfortable with short hair than being attracted to herself? Question mark. So
she kept also being like, oh, all this
I
hair.
hate dealing with this body, and yet also I'm attracted to my own body. It was very, again, it was
Why can't you have a funny scene where she puts on weird lipstick or has weird eyeshadow? Like,
wait, what do you mean by weird lipstick?
Like, I just felt like
Trying to apply it.
No,
Tries to shape
Paul,
her
I
legs.
totally agree with you. I think there were comedic beats that were
bottom of the barrel
entirely
beats.
missed.
Yes,
I'd like to see her fumble with the maxi pad. How much fun could we have had with the maxi
We
pad?
could have had a ball.
We could have had a
We
blast.
could have had a ball.
That's where the movie is uninterested in examining all of what it means to be a woman. The movie's not interested in that. It's interested in how women are perceived by men. The movie is about the male gaze from a woman's point of view, who is
Played
a
by
man.
Ellen Barkin.
Oh my
the
God.
only good woman is a man.
Stop saying that.
And this
your
is
name
an
and your-
era where body switching. This is the era of
Vice versa.
the man with two brains. Inner
Is this
space.
Freaky Friday? No, Freaky Friday
That's
was
one.
earlier.
That's
yes?
one. The original.
Vice
Splash?
versa with Judge
No.
Reinhold and Fred.
The
Savage.
George Burns kid one.
When she says
18 again.
When she
Thank
says I had to blow up my hair for an hour every day, I was like, "Where's that scene?"
Yeah.
And by the way,
Let's
you're
see
very
it.
talented at it because she did a great job.
She did.
Yeah, but then there's a comment about like, oh, you look weird, and she's like, I think I did too much rouge or something, or something like that. And
But she always looks
She
great.
looked great though, which would have been, to your point, would have been very funny to watch Steve in the body of Ellen Barkin trying to parse all of the elements of making Ellen Barkin look like Ellen Barkin.
And then, of course, what we should have seen is Steve, the inner Steve, understanding like the labor that goes
What it takes.
into
The
being a
emotional
woman.
labor.
Yes, and to sort of upholding
The
those
emotional labor.
standards.
Steve doesn't even.
Paul, shut the fuck up. Paul, we don't need to hear from you right now.
Yes.
Steve doesn't even try on dresses to see what that experience is like. He has. Is that a thing that happens in 1991 that women are at the department store getting into
what I
your
know
outfits?
How about the sales lady who gets tune in Tokyo and then just bounces back? She's like, and here's your bill. I'm like, is that the world we live in where you can just grab a woman's tits?
Well, if you're another woman, I guess honestly you
Have
can.
you done that?
Paul, I don't know where you are, so I feel like answering this
Can we
question
get
is.
I'm down here.
All right, that was a fun show. Thank you for listening. Remember to rate and review us. It helps. And if you listen on Apple Podcasts, make sure you are following us. Visit us on social media at HDTGM. And a big thanks to our producers, Scott Sani, Molly Reynolds, our movie-picking producer, Avril Halley, our engineers, Casey Holford and Rich Garcia. And of course, a special shout out to Jess Cisneros, who makes our amazing social media videos. We will see you next week for The First Power.